Hey, what's up, guys? Ricky in the Flip Lab. Today I'm joined with a good friend of mine, Chris Eymann. Chris I've known for a couple years now. We've done wholesale deals out in Arizona and talk about, I have a lot of guys on in Phoenix, but talk about a guy who's been in this business for a long time. How many thousands of transactions would you say you're on?
It's over 10,000. After that point, whatever.
Over 10,000 transactions. So talk about a guy who's really seen it all here in Phoenix. So excited to have you on, man, and welcome to the Flip Lab.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm just checking out the backyard over here. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, if it was a little warmer today, we'd be on the other side chilling in the pool. But
yeah,
we got a nice spring day here in Phoenix.
Just looking for the cooler.
We got 2 fridges of beers, man, right after the podcast. So tell the people that haven't heard about you yet, kind of where did you start, and real quickly, kind of how'd you get to the point where now 10,000 transactions later?
Yeah, so I started in '99 just researching foreclosures, that's where I kind of started, at the courthouse steps. I was an IT guy. Had a couple layoffs in the IT downturn, tech downturn, and after a couple layoffs, you're like, that doesn't feel good. Like,
right.
You're like, you get the call to the conference room, and you're like, "Hi, Mr. Eymann. We don't need your services anymore. Here's a check. We added a couple extra weeks. Have a nice day." Right. So, I just started researching foreclosures, and I bought my first foreclosure December 21st. So 99. So to give you an idea how far that goes back.
Over 20 years ago.
Yeah. So that's where I started, and I just kind of stayed in the foreclosure world, because I'm not. You got all these young kids that are good at door knocking, cold calling, all these different avenues that are cool today that didn't exist back then. You got all these kids 20, 21, 22, 25 just closing deals all over the place. Well, I mean, you didn't have the data to do it. You didn't have the numbers. You didn't have the addresses. So I just stuck down to the courthouse steps, because it's just product coming through, bid on it, buy it.
Would you say it's harder to get into wholesaling now because it's like maybe more competitive, but you have more of those tools? Or would you say like back then it was a little easier with less tools?
Well, it just wasn't a market. There was like 4 of us in the whole city.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, it just, the data wasn't readily available. Obviously you could just broadcast everything like I'm a wholesale buyer, but just all these different lists that you have, and, pull the list, get the phone numbers. Ordering phone numbers wasn't even a thing back then, right? So,
right.
You could get the list, and do mailers. That was kind of like your only option, or door knock. Those are kind of your options back then. Or, my route was just, foreclosure steps.
Yeah, and I know, you've always harped kind of how much of a people business it's been throughout all these years. I know you said, taking everyone out to lunch and stuff like that. Now with social media, it's like, you could build those relationships without even going to get coffee and lunch.
Yeah. I'm sure you get deals. We talked about them when you were on my little my Phoenix RIA event. You're getting deals from episodes like this, whereas
Sure.
I didn't have any of this social media to build networks, to do all that. Literally was like, once I got in the business and been in and around it for a while, I would literally teach lunch and learns at Realty Executives, Keller Williams, all the different spots. And I would just kind of give them my knowledge on the foreclosure industry, so they would come, because back then it was everybody keep it close to the vest, keep all the secrets in, right?
So it wasn't this collaboration.
Yeah. So I would go teach classes to build my list. I would go to title company happy hours and pass out my card and hey, if you want a foreclosure, and then that's just how we did it. And then, believe it or not, our company had print ads.
Wow.
Print ads in the the Realtor magazine. We had the back page of the Realtor magazine, and that's how you advertise your company.
Yeah, and no, it's funny though too. It's like we've done the data marketing, we still do that, but sending out direct mail is still like our bread and butter in New Jersey for how we're getting deals. So it's funny how some things change. There's all these new methods, but other things it's like, hey, it's been a timeless method for the last 20, 30 years. Keep rocking with it.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's you have so many different options, especially with like, we still do some mail, but it's more of a stacked list on the mail, right? As opposed to like
niche these down.
Yeah. Instead of like, because obviously making a phone call is so much cheaper than sending a mail piece, right? So, but back then it was just like blast, right? It was just
hope and pray. So then, obviously you started doing that, buying a bunch of, bank-owned stuff, sound like at the courthouses. I know now you're mostly still in Phoenix, you do some deals in Florida. What was Phoenix like back during like 07, 08, 09? I moved out here in 2015. I didn't get into real estate till kind of 2017. So talk to me a little bit. How was the crash for you and your business?
Well, so pre-crash, so call it 2003, 4, 5. It was very similar to what it is now. Inventory was down around 6,000. Bidding wars. I mean, fax machines. You'd fax your offer, and 10 offers would come in on the fax machine. So a very similar business to what it was now, but obviously lending was very loose back then. Everybody could get a loan, so everybody was just signing up and building rental portfolios and buying extra houses and then cash out refiing and getting some more cash in their bank account. So obviously, hence the loose lending created the problem. In 07, early 08, it was just a ghost town. I mean, we went from, call it 5,000 to 6,000 actives. I want to say we hit the peak at like 62,000 actives.
Wow.
Yeah, so 62,000 houses. And obviously when you have that much inventory and not a lot of demand, because the lending went away, it got really, really hard to get a loan. As a matter of fact, from mid-07 to early 08, you couldn't even get a loan. There was no loans. So that's why,
unless we have some private money in cash, but we're building up our rental portfolio. We need rental loans. So if that went away.
Yeah, there was no owner financing, let alone let's buy a rental. Like,
wow.
there was nothing. So that's why the inventory kept building, and then with no buyers, it just keeps building and building. And then obviously the prices got so cheap that, people started buying, people that actually had cash that, had money, big investors started coming to town and going like, buy this. I mean, Maryvale's were 30 grand.
Right.
15 grand.
Crazy to think about now.
I saw one trade at $15,000. I think that's the cheapest one I saw trade at like an auction.com auction. I don't know if you're.
Yeah. I've been on that site.
Yeah,
can't find anything good on there these days. But.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was so like you had similar market, call it 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you had kind of this stagnant time of 7, 08, and then the money started to pull in, and then 1,000 trustee sales a day were scheduled.
Wow. 1,000 a day. So, I mean, literally polar opposite of right now, where it's like, we're doing deals with you guys, right? It's like, we just did a deal, 40 offers, everything over asking, waive everything. But it sounds like in that market, it was like you had all the houses in the world, but no one making the offers.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is everybody's over leveraged because they would buy it, cash out refi, get all the cash. So, and then you have a house worth 200, and then it's on MLS as a short sale. So that's the problem. Had to go through the short sale process. So on MLS, through the short sale process. So the really only way to get houses immediately was to go to the trustee sales. Otherwise, you were short sale. If it didn't short sale, it went to the trustee sale. If it didn't sell there because they set the price too high, then it goes to REO. And then you're dealing with all the REO agents. So that was kind of the cycle that it went through.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm seeing too, like right now, especially with like rates going up, I'm talking to some lenders that they're kind of wiggling that line again of like, oh yeah, we could do appraisal and just not go see the property, or looser underwriting. I'm starting to see more of that. Do you foresee like that maybe happening again in this market?
Well, I mean, I don't think it was years and years of that kind of lending that dealt to us to the 07, 08 fiasco or whatever. I still think most of the underwriters, I think there's some loose ones out there, but I mean, we had years and years of it. If you have a couple out there kind of being, work in the gray areas. I don't think that's really going to affect us. You got to remember when '08 hit, especially in Phoenix, builders quit building, right? They just stopped.
Right.
Because they couldn't build it for what they could sell it for. So why start? And then, I want to say the permits pulled back in 5-6 were like 60,000 permits.
Wow.
I think now we're still in the mid-20s. So, you just had oversupply and no buyers, and then so that is a problem. Now we have undersupply. Builders are still building. They probably won't keep up with the demand of the people moving here. What I don't know is how these interest rates affect other cities. Is Phoenix insulated, or is it not?
Yeah, I guess too. Like now, I look at Phoenix and just the job growth, the companies that are coming here. I'm assuming kind of back in 07, 08, those days, it's like people are like, oh, Scottsdale's a cool place for like a second vacation home, but it didn't seem like quite the business boom that we're seeing today.
Definitely not the business boom, but you still had the retirees. Phoenix kind of got the beginning of the baby boomers retiring, and they want to get out of Minnesota and Chicago. And they want to retire. They want to come play the golf course like right over here, right?
Yeah. And so that's interesting. As far as like the similarities and differences in the market, I guess though, like like you guys mostly do wholesaling these days, right?
Yeah.
So I guess if you're wholesaling, you're kind of direct to kind of see what's going on in the market, and you'll probably be the first. I always say I feel like wholesalers might be the first ones to start noticing, that shift.
Yeah, well, the call volume will come down, right? And I think that it's just, I'm just being honest, I think it's slowing down for us just a little. We'd be able to send stuff out and it's all gone, right? And then, we've actually had to send stuff out twice or a second time, reduce the pricing. So, I was talking, and I try to keep my ear to the ground in these kind of moments all the time. Obviously refis don't exist. Like, they're gone, right? No.
Yeah, with rates, yeah.
But, so he's like, yeah, but we still got a steady, my buddy's like, we still got a steady number of new applications. I'm like, all right, because he's high up in his company. I'm like, take your applications from last year this time to this year this time and report back to me the number. And he's like, we're down 35% from year over year. I'm like, okay,
that's a number. Yeah.
That's a number. That's 35% less applications in the month of March this year than you did last year. So, that's a pretty good sized number.
Yeah. And then refi's way down. That's where I see, like, I don't know, history kind of repeating itself sometimes, where if lenders get desperate, maybe that's when things start kind of coming down a little bit. But it seems like there's a lot of regulation still to
Yeah, so I don't see how they got to change, some underwriting laws to get it much looser than that. But, I was listening to a radio show on the way into work. I think it was yesterday maybe. They say the average income in Phoenix that could afford a $505,000 priced home, which I think he was using that as the median price of Phoenix, Arizona, can now only afford a $380,000 home.
With like a 2% swing.
With the increase in mortgage rates.
With mortgage rates, probably 2-3% now. So, it's at from.
Yeah, I think I read the article. I've been reading a bunch of articles lately. So in Phoenix, I think this is a nationwide number, not Phoenix. We went from 3.12 in January to we're just over 5. So, we hit 6. That's almost a double, right?
Yeah, that makes a big impact there. I don't know, man. I guess it's always everyone wants to have that crystal ball, right? But do you feel like even after all your years in real estate, it's still just kind of you got to just pay attention to what's going on, don't over leverage too much, but no one really can predict the future?
Yeah, so I because I got clobbered pretty good, I'm not leveraged at all. So I'm like, I got very little leverage. I don't even have all my cars are cash. I have a couple boats. Those are all cash. Like I have some Airbnbs, and I want to say I'm at like 25% LTV on their current value. So obviously they could dip down a little bit, but I'm like almost no leverage.
What would you say for like a younger guy like me? I always worried about maybe getting myself in a bad situation like that. Any advice?
Well, it depends on what side of the transaction on. If you're just a wholesaler,
Yeah.
you're just in and out. You're transactional, right? You're a very short period of time. But, think about these guys that, flip lab, fix and flip guys, right? Let's just say you're holding 20 houses in inventory. And let's say you're not in Phoenix. I think Phoenix has got, a lot of people moving here. But let's just say you're in a different market, which you don't have.
New Jersey, nothing's really going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have this mass influx of people, right? You're just your standard buyer. That's all you got. The standard guy that, works here, lived here his whole life, whatever, and you got 20 houses in inventory and the market slows. And you're all on hard money.
Yeah.
That's a death sentence.
Right. Yeah. I talked to some guys out here and, they got 20, 30 flips going. I mean, shit, you're probably lending on some of these with your lending business. And I just talked to them about it and they're like, yeah, that would be like pretty bad news. And I don't know. That's why I always like try to keep, we only try to have 2 to 3 flips going kind of at a time. I guess I maybe worry a little bit if we're getting greedy on some of the cash out refis on some of the burr rentals.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we're on fixed rates and a cash flows day one, and we plan on holding them.
Yeah, that's kind of the rule. As long as you cash flow, and you want to make sure you cash flow, truly cash flow. Like some people, I get $2,000 a month, but my payment's $1,900. Well, I mean, come on, you get
CapEx repair. Yeah,
that's not really cash flowing, right?
Yeah,
you just want to make sure you can truly cash flow, like that house as a business itself, payment, CapEx. Now, if it cash flows, I mean that's sustainable. And then if you have, I don't know how many rentals you have, but if you have 30 of them or 40 of them, right, obviously.
Volume fixes a lot of problems.
Yeah, so that's a good deal, but, it's these people that, make $100 a month here, but, well, someone moves out and you got a $5,000, and that happens a few times a year.
Right.
And your flip business isn't cranking out, you're not getting, 30 over asking. It's happened for a few years, And
is that kind of why, like these days, you guys pretty much are on the dispo side of a lot of wholesale transactions. Was that kind of like a reason why you decided to kind of build the business model that you guys have today?
No, it's just, back to the foreclosure days and back to that ad on the back of the magazine, I just, I was a trustee sale guy till, call it 2017. 2016, right? I mean, we were still doing trustee sales and a decent volume of trustee sales. I wasn't out there trying to recruit deals from guys that were cold calling or any of that stuff. It's just, the trustee sales went away. And so I don't have another avenue, but I got 20 years of networking and I have this database. So that was the logical move is like, hey, partner up with these people that are good at doing direct-to-seller acquisitions, and we've done a little bit of ourselves, but more partnered with people. Say, hey, because we have the cash and we can sell it, so why go reinvent that wheel? Let the guys that are doing the acquisitions do the acquisitions, and we just sell it. And we make deals like, hey, we'll put up all the earnest money, we'll close if we need to close. So it just makes it, it makes the JV deals easier for someone that is in the business, is good at cold calling, is good at, stacking their lists and doing mailers, and we just dispo it for them. So
yeah, I think personally, like my business here in Phoenix, working with a lot of the guys in town, I think you guys have the best operation as far as just like getting deals across the finish line. Yeah. Whether, like you said, it needs to be a double close, things come up in title work, but just kind of getting those deals across the finish line, which, is the most important part, especially in this crazy Phoenix game where, sellers are demanding all these crazy things that, we want 10K hard EMD, we want this, we want that, no inspection periods and stuff. And you guys, have been in the business long enough to really be able to navigate those closings.
Yeah, so obviously if you're a trustee sale guy, no inspection. I'm like, man, I used to just get a drive-by.
Right. You're like, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
And then, the 10K earnest money and stuff like that, I mean, I haven't looked at the balance sheet, but I know it's over $400,000. We have over $400,000 in earnest money out at almost all the time.
That's what Jack was telling me. So, and that too, man, I want to talk about that as well. What I love is your business, it's like very like East Coast to me. It's like family style. Like your son runs, a big part of the dispo business. Family on the other side, run a ton of the business as well. Did you kind of foresee that of wanting to build it? I always think of like my future family one day, and I just think it's so cool that like, you kind of groomed Jack to do what he's doing today, and just seeing everything kind of really in-house with the family.
None of it was planned. So, I helped my sister and brother-in-law came from a trucking company in Chicago, and they wanted to get started. And so I helped them set up in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then, they're just, raising their kids in Vegas, and Vegas is not the place to raise your kids. Now, it's getting a little more normalized now, but like, this is 03, 04, 05. And so, I became partners with my sister and my brother-in-law. And so that started. And I didn't know what my kids wanted to do, honestly. I mean, Jack was a BC student at best. Jack was just there to have a good time, right?
Yeah.
And so, it just didn't, it takes one thing to click, and obviously it just clicks. He's you make a deal and you're like, oh shit, that's $4,000. And you make a deal and you're like, oh shit, that's $7,000. And then, he got plugged into our network where he could make multiple deals a day, and he's, obviously doing well. So that was just kind of, that's just, when you start like seeing the puzzle come together, the puzzle just came together for him. I had no idea. I didn't know what he was going to do, honestly. And then, my daughters both kind of ventured out and looked towards other business paths too. And it's just, it makes it easy when you have a system in place, and they've listened to the system in the car all for their whole lives. They just, I don't know if they were paying attention, but they listened to it for, 20 years. So they were able to just kind of plug into the system and go, oh yeah, this works. And even my daughter, Bridget, that she went kind of the conservative route, it's been about 18 months now where she just like took an office job with a salary, and now she's out there. She's got a real estate license, and she's going the entrepreneurial route. But it took her a year and a half to like sit and watch her brother and her cousin, my nephew, her cousin, and just be like, maybe I went the wrong route.
Yeah, sometimes you need that learning lesson. I know.
Yeah.
Everyone on our team, we all went the corporate route, and then realized like, there's the grass sometimes is greener on the other side.
Yeah, but you can't go. You can't go fill out an application, at some local bank and go pick up a house and
right.
all that stuff, and easy to get mortgages and car loans and all that kind of stuff. But once you get your taxes done and filed, and you get a couple years under your belt, then it becomes easier.
Yeah, no, totally. And man, you guys stay busy over there. How many? Do you know how many you guys have in escrow right now?
It's a lot. It's over 100, I'm pretty sure.
Over 100. Shoot. Yeah. I was like, I think last time I talked to Jack, he was telling me like last month was like 80 something. And I was like, dude, that is like, we got like 15 on the board right now. And our heads are like all over the place trying to, just keep track of everything.
Yeah. So I think that's total in escrow is like over 100. But yeah, we did, I think I was talking to Jack. I think we wholesaled in March, somewhere in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
That's Florida and Phoenix. Though.
Right. I know those are kind of your two markets, but that's got to be, is that best ever from a volume standpoint?
Oh yeah, it's best ever.
Yeah. It sounded like every time I talk to Jack, it's like that dude is busy right now.
Yeah. Over, a 40-month or a 50-month, that's good. But, an 80-month, that definitely pushed the buttons of the office or made us stretch a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't hire anybody new or but definitely tensions were high.
Right. But it looks like you still seem to always find some time to still travel and kind of, it seems like these days, at least after 20 years, it seems like you're finally starting to kind of, relax a little bit.
Well, I've heard that, you get that version. Are you an owner or are you an operator, right?
Yeah.
I was an operator my entire career. I mean, I didn't I didn't leverage people. I didn't grow huge. I was just this little boutique shop, wholesaling deals, finding deals, networking. Didn't scale into other cities. Tried other cities a little bit, and I mean, just kind of. I didn't get our butts kicked, but didn't do as well as we did here.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of and after you've had once you've had an 07 where you had I had a negative $4.5 million tax return in 08. So
wow. Yeah, right. Like when you get beat up.
Yeah, when you get beat up pretty good, you're just like, you get a little gun shy, right? So, I'm just like, hey, my business is great. So, obviously with my 2 daughters in the office, Jack's in there, my nephew's in there, my sister and brother-in-law, they run the operations. They're still running the operations. It's kind of, I'm more of the idea guy, building relationships, that kind of business. So it's just, and you can kind of do that from anywhere. I deal with all the hard money guys, the guys that invest in our hard money company. So, going to lunch with them, talking to them about investing, how we structure, the loans, how we do the assignments, how we, do all that kind of stuff.
The visionary of the business.
Yeah. So that's kind of my role. And yeah, so it's, we've gotten Florida up and running. Our hard money business is growing. We're working on hard money towards Florida now. Obviously, if you do the transaction, might as well try to keep the paper. So we're working on that. So yeah, just I got VAs building databases in other cities. I currently have Vegas, Iowa, Oklahoma. Just VAs just building databases. Yeah. So if we want to jump somewhere else, I think we've talked about jumping into Vegas. It's not happened yet, but we have a buyer's list being built as we speak.
Shoot, man. I mean, it sounds like you guys are staying pretty damn busy where you're at. So Chris, if anyone wants to possibly do deals with you guys, help get deals across the finish line, what's kind of the best way for people to reach out if they got deals in Phoenix or Florida?
Yeah, obviously you can reach out to me, and then Max is handling Florida. Jack's handling,
Yeah, I'll tag Max and Jack's stuff in here too.
Yeah, and then obviously all the hard money stuff, like if you ever want to invest and get a passive income, because there's some flippers that may want to just park for a while, right? They may just be like, it might slow down, but you might have a $300,000 or $400,000 and you want to get a 10% return on it. Give me a call. I'll invest. It's way better, parked at 60% LTV than it is at.
My dad's one of our lenders, and anytime we don't have his money working, he's like, "You got another deal? You got another deal?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like it's hard to find a good place to park your money to see that cash flow.
Yeah. So yeah, on ours, we're supplying people money that buy right now they're probably buying a 170 worth 200 or a 165 worth 200, right? You're not getting a 140 worth 200.
No.
But yeah, and then we make them put 50% or 15%, 20% down. So now you're only lending it like 140 at 200. So it makes you feel better.
Yeah, love that, man. Well, busy dude, a lot going on. Appreciate having you on, and yeah, looking forward to doing more deals in the future with you guys.
Yeah, and let's go to Vegas, right? Let's put the number on 7. Was it 17?
Right? Yeah. It was fun, man.